Hey, 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 Wasp UK, sting! Welcome to my video and thank you for watching. This is the fourth installment of a series of videos that I have been recording where I take games from the past, old games, sim racing games, and comparing them to today's games. Have they stood the test of time? We shall find out in a second. This game, rFactor 2, came out in 2012. A very popular game, was used extensively in esports and had a lot of modders. 2016, I think the license was taken over by some other people, developers and that, and they've been continuing the ongoing content and improving of the game. And now we're going to see whether it's as good as Project Cars, Assetto Corsa Competizione, iRacing. Now, in particular, this has been referred to by some people as the poor man's iRacing with weather. We will see when we conclude at the end of the video, and you can look and think what you think, etc. Let me take this opportunity. I have had a couple of comments that have said that my videos can be a little bit long and I ramble on a bit, so I'm going to try and keep these very basic and simple and interesting. The first thing I will say though, for me to continue making videos, I really need subscribers, people to subscribe to my channel who are willing to commit a few seconds just to watch my videos now and then and make a comment and give it a thumbs up. With that in mind, I'll then be able to produce more and more and hopefully get better content, and later on some form of sponsoring which will allow me to bring you newer games and also, you know, accessories and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, please help me out there if you can. Or again, you can just comment on stuff that you'd like me to do videos about, or even just slag me off. I really don't mind, but remember, a thumbs up at the end. Okay, let's crack on straight into the video then. Here's the menu. From what I can remember, I don't remember it being this nice. Very reminiscent of Project Cars, the way it slants. Looks fairly intuitive and pretty, well spaced. So you've got single player, multiplayer and competitions, all of which we'll get to in a minute. This is the important part, which would be setting up of controllers, etc., whether it be a steering wheel or a hand controller. You've got a store there, much like iRacing. You can buy all the premium content and extras. You've got Steam Workshop, which is where you get all your free stuff and modders, free content, cars and tracks. Your profile, which is all about you and your name and everything, managing your own content that you've got in the game, and then settings, which is where we're going. Gameplay configuration explains itself. You can pause the video and read those to work out what they are. Calibration. Okay, now when I first set this up, I have got an 11-year-old Mad Catz Xbox wired controller. Very old. Analog throttle and brake, digital gimbals for the steering. As you can see on the screen there, progressive steering if I do it very lightly and slowly. That's that. Braking and throttle on or off, even though they're sprung loaded. If I do it really lightly, no, it's just full on, full off. That really does affect the way I drive in game, so I do apologise for that. Once I have saved up £500 or £600 for one of the cheaper direct drive sim racing wheel bundles, I will get one and redo some videos just to give you an idea of how the games feel on those. But for now, a lot of young people out there only have controllers and just want to have some fun, so we're going to see how these react. My rumble is not working, so that does cause an issue, as I don't get any feel of realism. It's not the same as force feedback because you don't get that on controllers, but it is nice to have the rumble there when you go over a rumble strip, or if you accelerate or brake you get judder, and unfortunately I don't have that, so that is missing, I know already, so please excuse that as well. As you can see in the profiles that you've got for controllers, they've got all the very popular ones, and I'm sure it's been updated. The control wizard works a treat, so if it's not one, if you've got one that's not listed, I'm sure you'll be able to calibrate it without any problems. Fanatec, Logitech, Moser, SimCube, Thrustmaster, they're all there. Xbox, you know, I don't think you'll have any problems. The assignment controls, just so you can see what buttons do what. The only button that I have changed is the camera one, so we can do all the different views. graphics, depending on what system you've got, will determine on what settings you have, but I'm pretty much maxed out on Ultra on most things, not everything, and it runs really nice on the my widescreen at 144 Hz, so I'm happy with that. The sound levels I have had to turn down. The volumes in this game when recording are very loud, so I have turned those down so you can hear me while I'm commentating. So all that said, I'm not going to keep rattling. Let's get on with the race. So in we go. Single race. You can select series, all tracks and cars, and run a series. I'm not going to. I'm just going to do one race. It is 5 laps long, but I'm not going to do 5 laps. We're at Suzuka because it's a track that I know. I've already picked a GT3 car because I like GT3. It's a Lamborghini. We're sticking with that. There is a editing system for the session where you can turn on qualifying, warming, weather, blah blah blah. I'm not going to do any of that. I'm leaving it as it is, and we're going to go race. Here we go. Like I say, if you can tell your friends and colleagues about my channel, I'd appreciate that very much, and the more people that subscribe, the more content I can start producing. So far I found the game runs silky smooth and it loads really fast. Everything's been good and I've had no graphical glitches. This little section where you're in the pits, you've got like a mini studio thing going on here that does record everything automatically. When you finish a race, you can go back through it and view it in all different types of views and rewind and forward and take stills, which I think would be good for people who do like web pages or YouTube and stuff like that. You've got your live timings. If you're like having a tea break or your friends are running and you're resting, you can see what's going on with the competition and what lap times they're doing and chat about setups. Session control, if it all goes wrong in the race and everyone gets taken out on the first bend, you can vote for restart. But the more interesting for most people would be the setup page. This is where all those who like to tinker with the vehicles and modify their setups, this is where you would do it. And as you can see, it's all self-explanatory. You've got all your setup pages there, so that's absolutely cool. So let's go drive. So I'm going to pop it to the outside view, and initial comments are: track looks good, cars look good. People on the edge of the track look dead. They're 2D and they're not moving, no animation on the people around the track, the crowd, etc. No sounds from them, and the sound of the car is non-existent in this view. The other cars look good. The feel of the controls feels good. It drives as I would expect it to. Oh, I've gone a bit wide there. Let me get back on the track. Oh dear. That didn't feel nice at all. I think I've got grass on my tyres. Scrub that off. Oh, hello, and he's grabbing the back end of me. So the AI can be very interactive. Not too aggressive, but certainly there. We'll switch it in a second to an in-car view. Okay, that's a little bit better. The sound of the engine certainly helps you with knowing what's what as far as acceleration and braking. Yeah, that's quite nice. Not overly impressed with the trackside graphics. Nothing special going on there. Oh, in-car graphics is nice. So that's quite comparable to today's standards, I would say. Certainly sounds better in car as well. I'm having it on-off on the throttle because I can't feather it, which is a bit annoying. Dirt on the screen is realistic, that seems to be building up a bit. Reflections aren't too bad, shadows aren't too bad, mirrors are pretty good. But still the trackside, woo, he came past fast. Trackside decorations are limited to say the least. Blocky vehicles, people aren't that realistic. Grass isn't all that to look at. Trees are definitely very flat looking. Reflections, I mean, we just saw the sign on the roof. Watch it as we go under this sign here. Boom, there's
35.83.
Okay, that's their version of, say, crew chief or pit crew. That's built into the game, which is a nice touch. Overall, it's nice. If I had Rumble, I'd be a lot happier because it would feel realistic. It feels a bit flat, but does steer and react the way I would expect it to. Also, if I had a modern controller where I had digital throttle and brake, I'd be able to feather the throttle and get better response and etc. and control over the vehicle. But overall, definitely playable. Would I buy it if it was in a bargain bucket bin somewhere from anywhere between 10 and 20 quid? Most definitely, because I know that there is an absolute bin full of download content and tracks and stuff like that, and it's still ongoing. So yes, as a game to play with your mates, I think this is just about up to game standard. Not as good as Race 07, I don't think. Certainly not as good as Project Cars 1, 2 or 3. But a lot better than TOCA Touring Car 3, which were in my previous videos. Some of the effects are good, the smoke, the dirt. It's not throwing up a lot of gravel or anything, and as you can see, the gravel looks very flat. So I think the biggest problem is the graphics engine is dated and no one's updated that yet. If they were to get that onto the new Frostbite engine or the Unreal engine, my word, what a game this would be then. But I think the conversion would probably be too big a task for them to do. So it is what it is as it stands. So keeping it short, as I said I would, what do we think? Well, it looks good, it drives well. Probably drive better with a steering wheel and force feedback. Definitely missing rumble. I don't know if that's just because something's not working on my setup, so that's a shame. But would I still have it? Yes, I would, because it does look good enough and I think it would be playable. And the fact that you can still play online with other people and get your mates in on it with some proper race session settings, and the fact that you've got weather and so much content, I still think it's very good. Marks out of 10, solid 6. Comparing that to the other games that I've reviewed recently, Race 07 would probably get 7. Project Cars would get about 8 or 9. Touring TOCA Cars about a 3 or a 4. So she's not the highest game, but for content, it's the content that's keeping it up there. If that starts to dwindle, then it'll end up being tossed in the bin, I think. But that's my view. Again, like I say, please comment, let me know what you think, even if it is just to slag me off. Please get as many people as you can. Just put the word around and subscribe, and then I'll be able to bring more content, more relevant content, possibly get some sponsorship from companies that will lend me stuff and I can do reviews and all sorts of stuff. And then I'll also do, if that starts happening, I'll start doing competitions with prizes and all that sort of malarkey. So that's been me, Wasp UK. Thank you very much. Don't forget at the end of it, thumbs up. Hope you all have a very good day and thank you for watching.